Okay, so we're doing just a real quick, I guess you could call it a review on this Dewalt planer, but I've had it for years, and I actually just wanted to show somebody this shelix cutter I put on it. So there it is. That's the stock. Let's see if I can get it in here. So that's the shelix cutter, and as you can see, it's a helical cutter. And it replaces the entire spool that holds the blades. So you actually remove the original spool completely, and this one inserts where that one was. So you have to take the planer apart. It's a little involved to install it. This was like somewhere north of $400. Obviously, if you're like a homeowner that doesn't use your planer a lot, it's probably not necessary. Not something you would need to spend the money on. But I'm a contractor. I do this a lot, and I've run thousands of board feet of hardwoods, maples, cherries, ash, oak, you name it. And I have not switched these yet, and I'm still getting a buttery smooth finish. So that's the shelix cutter. And I guess as far as the planer is concerned, I really can't complain. It's it's a $600 planer. But for somebody that needs a portable planer, you really can't complain. It's accurate. It's works well. It's I've never had any issues with it as far as maintenance goes. Standard polished bed, keep the blade sharp, blah blah blah. It is a little noisy. I would say that was probably one of my biggest complaints, and that was the whole reason for getting the shelix cutter. It was noisy, and the steel blades that Dewalt sells were kind of a joke. It really is kind of a slap in the face, actually. Dewalt made. I'm not a fan of Dewalt tools normally, and they did a good job on this planer. They made a great product, and the blades were just a joke. You couldn't plane more than 50 board feet through. I mean, maybe less. 25 board feet of maple. It didn't matter what you ran through, and just one slightly hard grain in there, and the blades were nicking, and it was just a total letdown. I mean, I was going through basically one custom kitchen, and I was replacing 2 to 3 sets of blades at $60-some a pop. And so I started looking around, and they do make carbides for this, but the other big complaint I had with it was just it's noisy, and that's all planers are noisy. I think this one's a little noisier than most of them, but I found the shelix cutter, I gave it a shot, and I was very impressed. So I'm going to go ahead and start this up and show you the volume level. And I don't know if the camera is going to do it any justice, but if you own this planer and you know what it's like to run a ton of maple, a ton of wood through it, if you don't have earmuffs on, you will be deaf. Your ears will be ringing for hours. One other thing I will mention too, which I was pleasantly surprised to find, is this planer's interior fan mechanism is powerful enough if you do not have a dust collector. I have a dust collector, but I had a capacitor burnout, and I ended up having to go for a couple weeks without a dust collector, which was problematic. And I discovered that as long as I kept my hose fairly straight, this Dewalt planer will push the dust through about 40 feet of dust collection hose into my dust collector bag with no assistance from the dust collector motor, and no clogs whatsoever. So if you're somebody that doesn't have a dust collector and you would like to divert the shavings from this, they make 2 fittings for the back of it. One is a fan blade that spits them out, but it makes a mess. I don't like it. I've always used my dust collector, but I thought I was going to have to use it when the dust collector went down, and much to my surprise, it worked very well, actually. And I was able to just keep pushing those shavings right into my single-stage dust collector. So here we have a piece of bird's eye. Not terribly bad to plane. I don't think it would tear out. This is the jointer side, so let's see if I can get an angle on it. But you can see the joiner knives leave the ripples, just like any straight bladed cutter will do. And I'm going to show you how this planer with the shelix cutter is really does a great job. Now, anybody that is familiar with planers, and I don't know if you can appreciate it with the camera lens, but that is absolutely perfect. There is no, you get these little ribbons, if you look, like little scallops, but you barely can feel them. But that is crisp. It's beautiful, and anybody that's used a planer heavily knows. I don't know if the camera does it justice, but I would say it's about half as loud as a straight triple cutter would be. The only other thing I would add is, because the helical cutters are they're twisted when they come through. So you always have blade in the wood at all times. There's no break. So this doesn't necessarily work the planer less. It probably works the planer more. You can't take quite as much meat off in a shot, just because it'll really bog the planer. You'll hear it working. I mean, you can hear the load on the motor increases. So I'm sure it's drawing more amperage at that point. But it's unsurpassed results, and so I just wanted to show that off and give it a short review.